Second reading. Fourth reading.
Senate Bill 359, Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act.
Senator Krawiec is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to thank my co-sponsors on this bill, Senator Hise and Senator Arrington, and also thank you to Senator Ballard and Senator Sawyer. In committee this past week, we heard a lot of conversation about abortion and about a woman's right to choose, and about getting in the way of women's health care. Most of the opposition that we heard had nothing to do with what this bill actually does. So I hope we can stay focused today and not get into a debate about abortion. This has nothing to do with limiting abortion in any way, and I hope that's clear. In committee, this was described as performing a political stunt and only trying to undermine Roe v. Wade. This is about protecting newborn babies that have been born alive. Some abortions are not successful, and as a result, there's another patient involved. As one doctor described it, the dreaded complication. When abortions fail, there's a newborn baby. Apart from their mother's bodies, living, breathing, small, vulnerable, helpless, tiny little human beings. This bill changes nothing, except how that born alive infant is treated. In order to address some of the questions asked in two separate committees, I thought I would go ahead and answer some of them now, and I'll be happy to answer as many times as necessary. This bill does nothing to limit a woman's access to health care or come between a woman and her doctor. It's clear allowing a living, breathing child to die without any attempt to provide care is infanticide, plain and simple. No, we do not already have laws in place to protect an infant that is born alive after an abortion attempt. We do have laws protecting babies in utero. It's considered murder if the child is killed while in the mother's womb, or if that child dies after birth from injury while it was in utero prior to the birth, except in the case of abortion. There is no protection provided for those abortion survivors. Another question was asked. The answer, yes, we have a medical board that regulates and licenses our healthcare providers. No, this will not change any of that. Another question asked, how many of these live births occur? Aren't they very rare? We have no way of knowing. Only 6 states have reporting requirements, so there's no way to determine. Reports published in the Philadelphia Inquirer quoted Dr. Willard Cates, former chief of abortion services for the Centers for Disease Control. He estimated that there were between 400 and 500 annually in the U.S. He admits it's likely unreliable because of the voluntary reporting. Also, a CDC study analyzed infant deaths from 2003 to 2013 found 143 instances. No, we do not know if this happens in North Carolina. There are no requirements for reporting. And it's unlikely that there would ever be voluntary reporting. I will also add that currently we have a ban on abortions past 20 weeks. A recent court decision may change that, and we may see more of these born alive infants. It could change dramatically. We recently had a vote in this chamber banning female genital mutilation. Every single member, every Democrat, every Republican voted for that bill. I was asked then, do we know how many times this occurs in North Carolina? The answer was no. We don't know. But it was such a barbaric procedure that we decided to make it very clear that in North Carolina it would not be tolerated and it wouldn't be practiced in our state. Another question from the committee: what happens to that child? Sadly, you all know we have many unwanted children in North Carolina. That's why we have child welfare system, foster care, adoption services. This child would be treated as any other unwanted child is treated. In the past month, New York and Virginia exposed an extreme agenda of some. Bills were introduced that ensure abortion on demand up until birth. It was even celebrated in New York. I might add, a similar bill was filed in this chamber last session that would have lifted the 20-week ban on abortions, allowing abortions up until birth, no limits whatsoever. And many of us, I'm sure many of you, I know I did, heard the Virginia governor advocate for infanticide. A poll taken this month found that 77% of voters support legislation to ensure that a baby who survives a failed abortion be given medical attention. Some polls even showed into the 80s. So this is not unusual. 62% of voters opposed allowing any late-term abortions. Many of these were self-identified as pro-choice. We all heard the story of Dr. Kermit Gosnell. His career spanned 4 decades. Clinic workers testified that he murdered hundreds of babies by snipping their spinal cords when they were born alive after an abortion. These were not news reports. This was taken from grand jury testimony. Clear and simply, that is infanticide. 31 states have laws offering protection to babies who survive abortions. North Carolina has not established legal protections for born alive infants, but this bill will do that. Any so-called right to abortion does not extend to children born alive in the course of an attempted abortion. A right to an abortion should not translate to the right for a dead child, no matter what, if the child survives an abortion. He or she should be treated with the same degree of medical attention as any other child born, whether they are wanted or not. These infants are live human beings, separate from their mother's body at this point. They should be treated as such. They should not be cast aside, left to lay on a steel table or in a steel tray. Jill Stanek, a nurse who witnessed late-term babies born alive after abortion attempts and left to die, she was one of the first that brought this to the attention of the American public. She said horrific crimes are happening in abortion facilities around the country. Children born alive are denied medical care and left to die. Cold, alone, abandoned, and discarded like medical waste. She witnessed a baby born alive thrown into the soiled linen room and left there to die. She picked him up, wrapped him, and she cradled him. And she rocked him until he died 45 minutes later. In 2002, the Federal Born Alive Infants Protection Act clarified that if an abortion results in the live birth of an infant, the infant is a legal person for all purposes under the laws of the United States and is entitled to protections under those laws. However, the law requires no the law provides no requirement for babies who survive abortion to receive medical care, and it provided no punishment. This bill does that. There has been a political war raging in this country over abortion for more than 50 years. This should not be one of those battles. Everybody, every human being should agree that an infant who is alive, breathing, heart beating, should receive medical care regardless of what previous decisions have been made and regardless of whether that child is wanted or not. I hope we can at least come together on that point. Mr. President, would you please recognize Senator Hise to explain other parts of the bill?
Senator Hise is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. To cover some of the specifics of this bill, in Section 2, what does not currently exist in state law is it would create a duty and require a healthcare practitioner to care for a child born alive despite an abortion. It would create a Class D felony with a fine of up to $250,000 for a violation of that duty. It would also require certain individuals to report a healthcare practitioner who does not care for a child born alive, and create a Class D felony with a fine of up to $250,000 for violation of this requirement to report a healthcare practitioner's failure to provide care. It also adds 2 additional protections to a mother in this process. First, she would bar prosecution of a mother for not providing medical care or reporting lack of medical care for a child born alive. And it would also create a civil claim for a woman whose child was born alive despite an abortion and the healthcare provider failed to provide care. It would also amend their current existing murder statute to include and to clarify an intentional or overt act performed after the child was born alive. This bill will not affect any cases, pro or con, that occur before the effective date of this bill. That's explained in Section 3. I commend this bill before you, and I would ask each of you for your support.
Is there any discussion or debates? Senator Van Dyne, for the purpose of your eyes.